The NBA season is a day away, and I am here to go through season win totals, award predictions, and options, as well as my prediction for the winner of the NBA championship, Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I see you know your judo well. I'm also the lead analyst at basketballmonster.com. You can find me on Twitter as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok, at redrock_bball, and on Instagram, at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On NBA for $20 off. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we are available on all platforms. All right, so this isn't really fantasy related, but I like to always get this show out. We are a season away. We're a day away from the season starting. I have got 2 more shows coming out today. We've got the inaugural draft for Industry Pickup, which is my attempt, along with Alex Raclean and B-Dub from FBI Basketball, to start an analyst sort of league that is the equivalent that Tout Wars and Labor is in baseball. So we're starting with one 12-team 9-cat head-to-head league. For this season, we're going to expand that out to a bunch of other analysts and league types for next season, points leagues, roto leagues, auctions for next season. But I will do the live. I won't do it live. I'll record the draft, though, and then I will post that for that inaugural season. You'll be able to keep up with all of the information, pickups, trends, moves, matchups in that over at the website, industrypickup.com. And I'll talk about it on this show as well. Just something to follow on with a bunch of other analysts. And somehow, I didn't even do the drawing. I got pick 1, so I'm pretty happy to start with pick 1 in that draft. But what we are here to do now is we're here to talk about awards. We're going to go through all 30 teams, their over-under win projections. I'm going to look at a few of the season awards. I'm going to look at some final projections. I'm not going to go through every single betting option that's out there over on our great friends over at FanDuel, but I'm going to go through a bunch of them. So let's start off by going to the Atlantic Division and looking at the over-unders there. It's an interesting task trying to do this, look at the over-unders. I went through and did all my over-under win projections about 9 weeks ago, right, for the initial thought process on them. Obviously, a bunch of stuff has changed since then, so I've gone and adjusted them. But every time I do that, I don't look at the Vegas over-under win totals. I go through, I do my projections for wins, and then I compare them. And they come out a little too close for comfort a lot of the time. But I've got Boston, who's got thanks to FanDuel for all of these lines, they got a win total of 54.5. Boston won 57 games last season. I'm hitting that over like unbelievably. Yes, their team is different, but Porzingis is good. I think he's better than Jaylen Brown. Drew Holiday is very good. He's better than Marcus Smart. Their depth has been hit. I know this. I've got him at 58. I've got him as the number 1 seed over the Bucks in the East. I've actually, to be fair, I've got them both the same on 58. So let's say I think I have the Bucks at 1, the Celtics at 2. But I've got them hitting that 54.5 game over pretty comfortably. We'll see. The other Atlantic teams, the Brooklyn Nets are at 37.5. I've got them under, barely. They won 45 games last season, but that's really misleading. They were under 500 after the Durant and Irving trades. I'm not sure how much better they got this season. Yes, Ben Simmons is, well, if he's good, he's an addition, right? But I don't know that. And a team that is led by Mikal Bridges as your number 1 player, I don't really think I feel super good about them being awesome this season. I thought that their win number would be much higher than that. It's not. It's 37.5, and I went under at 36. I've got them actually, I've got them outside the play-in. It's tough, man. There's a lot of good teams. There is a lot of good teams. The Knicks, they won 47 games last season. Their over-under is 45.5. So, again, if I had have just gone in and looked at the over-under, looked at last year's wins, I would have said, well, why are we looking at 1.5 wins fewer than last season? But I actually did drop them down. I've got them under only marginally. I've got them at 44 wins. It's just because I think there's so much strength through the conference. The Knicks, did they get better? Probably. Adding DiVincenzo, replacing Obi Toppin in the rotation. Expect maybe another leap from Jalen Brunson. But it's about like other wins. The wins have to come from somewhere. And I think that the Celtics and the Bucks are still going to be strong, obviously. I think there's improvement in someone like the Cavs in the East also. So while I do have the Knicks dropping down, I still have them as the 5th seed in the East, avoiding the play-in, which is the same spot they were last season. The Sixers is at 47.5. They won 54 last season. I currently still have them in the 4th seed. I have no idea what the James Harden situation is going to be. But 47.5 is a big, big drop. And I just think that, I don't know whether Harden plays or not, but they'll get somebody back. Nick Nurse is a good coach. Embiid is still there. Melton, Maxey, Harris. I just think them hitting over 47.5, I've got them at 49 and in the 4th seed, is decent. And what if Harden plays? He probably doesn't. Or they get something good back. Probably not. But I just don't think I want to see them drop that far. And then the Raptors at 36.5. You might think I hate this team, because I do. But they sit at 36.5 over under. I've actually got them going over. Now, when I first did this win projection, I had them way under. I had them dropping significantly down. But, as I said, I didn't look at my old numbers. I went back in and did it again. Had a look through preseason and how the East is shaking out. And I put the Raptors at 38. That is a drop from last season still. But I've got them going over. That's at 36.5. I won't say that I feel supremely confident with them hitting that mark. But, I do have them over. So I've got them at 38 wins, which puts them in the 10th seed in the play-in mix. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Tip off the NBA season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. They've got all of these things we're talking about now, all of these over-under win totals, the MVP odds, the Rookie of the Year odds we're going to go through later, the championship odds. It's all at FanDuel. Plus, they've got player props up for opening night, spreads, totals, all that stuff is up already, and you can go and check it out over there. So go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and tip off the NBA season. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL and the NBA. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Let us now bring back in and look at the next division. We're going Eastern Conference again. We're going the Southeast Division. The Atlanta Hawks have a 42.5 win over under on FanDuel. I do have them under by half a game. So I just sort of hit it right on the nose. It's not one of those ones that I really am interested in betting. But they won 41 last season. I do have them going 42. I could easily see them winning 45, but not everyone could do that. Maybe that's because I had the Nets too high or the Raptors too high, and I'll push those down to bump a team like the Hawks up. But I've got them marginally going under. So yeah, I do think that is, well, that's obviously what I project. I had them the exact same win projection when I did this 2 months ago, whenever it was, 2.5 months ago. So they're sort of sitting at that 42 mark. The Hornets, they won 27 games last season. Their win total is set at 31.5, so that's 4.5 more. I've got them going over pretty significantly. In fact, I've got them at 35 wins, and that puts them in the 13th seed, but there's a real chance for me that they can push into that play-in zone. They were a play-in team for 2 years when LaMelo Ball was healthy. Now, the maybe absence of Miles Bridges all season is a considerable concern for them. It's not a concern for them as a team because get rid of the bloke, right? But in terms of their on-court product, it will make them worse. So I would have been closer to dropping him as a 38 or 39 if Bridges was only serving that puny 10-game suspension. But he might get more. I don't know with these new arrest warrants and situation. But I've got the Hornets going over still 31.5. The Miami Heat, this is a tough one. I've got them at 43 wins, which is under the 44.5. They won 44 last season. They were scrapping and clawing their way into the play-in. Yes, they made it through to the NBA Finals. I don't know which one of those is real. Is it the team that's allegedly the second best team in the NBA, which is not really how NBA Finals work, but yeah, sure, they were the runner-up? Or is it the team that were almost eliminated before the playoffs even started? They got worse. I would say, over the offseason. Josh Richardson in, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent out. I think that makes them worse. And Kyle Lowry, another year older. Yeah, we might see Hero take another step forward, but I'm not confident on it. Like, I wouldn't be one that I necessarily bet, but I do have them going under, and I've got them. Yeah, but I do have the Eastern Conference as general is a little bit weaker. I've got them in the 6th seed at 43 wins. The Orlando Magic, our Orlando Magic, they won 34 last season. They're at 37.5 this season. I've got them going over up to 39 and in the play-in. And if they hit 500, I wouldn't be surprised. I think they're going to be very strong. They just signed that extension to Cole Anthony today. A lot of extensions going down today for some interesting sort of backup type players. But Cole Anthony's there. I think they're not troubled by injuries at the moment. If Jonathan Isaac contributes anything, that makes them better. I've got them going 5 wins ahead of last season. I've got them at 39, so going over that. And then the Wizards won 35 games last season. This is where you gain a lot of extra wins, isn't it? Because they're over-under set at 24.5. I've got them going under at 23 and finishing in the basement of the Eastern Conference. They're not a dreadful team. There are some rotation players there. Kuzma, Poole, I think Colabally is going to be very interesting. Tyus Jones is good. Gafford's okay as a backup. Obviously, he'll be starting though, but their depth is pretty rough. When you're getting through the bench and you're looking at guys like Johnny Davis, if he's going to be a part of things. Avdi is a pretty good player as well. But there's some interesting things with our team. I just think 24.5, especially with the organizational, perhaps, motive to hit that under, might be one for us to look at. Let's go to the other Eastern Conference division. We're going to the Central Division this time, and let's hit our Chicago Bulls, who won 40 games last season. I do have them stepping back. I've got them stepping back even further than what I originally had them. Their over-under is set at 37.5. I have got them down at 35 in the 12th seed out of the play-in. Do I hate the Bulls? Sure, whatever. I just think that this team made no distinct changes. Adding Javon Carter is interesting. Like, he's okay. Kobe White might elevate his game, but you are relying upon a 34-year-old and a 33-year-old in Vooch and DeRozan. You're also relying upon a team that had pretty strong health. Levine played 77 games and Vooch played 82. And they run 10 deep in terms of rotation players. So while we can talk about the Celtics running 7 deep in rotation players, they've got 6 all-starry caliber players. The Bulls do not. The Bulls have 3 of those. And if someone gets hurt, you're getting Dalen Terry into the rotation or Terry Taylor. One injury lets a spud play. And you don't have the top-end talent to withstand that. And if we're going to ding the Kings for having extraordinary health, the Bulls and the fact that Levine and Vooch missed 5 games between them. DeRozan missed a couple, but not a huge amount. Pat Williams was pretty healthy as well. I'm not sure I expect them to be good. The Pistons, they were putrid. 17 wins last season. Obviously, they shut a lot of stuff down. They had some really poor clutch performances. They probably weren't realistically a 17-win team, but they also weren't good. And their over-under is set really high, like 28.5. So they've got to win 12 more games than last season to go over. Yeah, that is an easy under. It doesn't even matter what number I've projected them at. To me, a team that shit, getting that much better is tough. I don't know how to view Monty Williams. I don't understand anything about their team building. I think Cade might be a good player, should be a good player, but I don't know what they're doing around him in the lack of spacing. Are they going to persist with Isaiah Stewart? Are they going to play Marvin Bagley and James Wiseman? What are they going to do? So I've got them at 23 wins. That's an improvement. That's 6 wins. I don't think they're that good to get up into that 28.5. To me, that's a pretty easy one. The Indiana Pacers over-under sits at 39.5. They won 35 last season. I reckon they would have won 39 easily without the tanking shenanigans at the end of last season. I've got them at 40, which puts them in the 8th seed in the play-in mix. So I've got them over by half a game. So obviously not a strong lean there. But I've got them and the Magic, 2 teams who didn't make it last season, pushing into the 9th and 8th seed. And the Bucks sit at 53.5 as an over-under. Yes, Mike Budenholzer, a very good regular season coach, is gone. That is an impact. There is no doubt about that. But I would, even though he has been a little bit iffy with him in the preseason, I expect Chris Middleton plays more than he did last season. And they have Damian Lillard. And they also have a situation where I think Giannis might be better. Giannis signing that new extension today as well. I've got them just getting 58 again, like they did last season. So 53.5 just seems too low. I've got them equal 1 seed with Boston. Let's give them the 1 seed over the Celtics. And that, to me, seems like a relatively clear over, I would say. Today's episode is also brought to you by the Game Time app. Buying tickets to an event is fun, because an event is fun, or it should be fun. Well, at the very least, let's put the bar really low, it shouldn't be a hassle. So Game Time takes that stress away. It's the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theatre. And you don't want to deal with all of those other things that some of those other ticket sites make you go through. You can check out the view from your seat. You're not going to get hidden pricing and hidden fees. Whatever the price you see on the Game Time app is the price you pay. All-in pricing is what they call it. Game Time also has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and sometimes even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find those last-minute seats. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. That is the Eastern Conference teams done, dusted. Let's go west and go to the Southwest Division, actually, and we will start with the Dallas Mavericks, who are set at 43.5 wins. Now, they won 38 games last season. They deliberately lost a couple of games down the stretch. They're a better team than that. Are they a better team than 43.5 in a Western Conference that is unbelievably loaded? I don't think so. I think the East probably has the best upper level talent. Well, maybe not, actually. They probably do, though, with Milwaukee and Boston. Who do I actually have in the 3 seed? Oh, did I miss something? I did miss something. What's wrong with me? I realized what I missed. I forgot to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Central. Let's go back. Oh, that's completely off track. The Cavs are 50.5. I was like, who the hell do I have as the 3 seed in the East? The Cavs. They won 51 games last season. Their over-under is 50.5. I've got them going over. Like, I know that we might not see Ricky Rubio this season, but adding Strus and Yang is important. 3rd year Evan Mobley. 2nd year of settling into a new system with Don Mitchell. I've got the Cavs as a 3 seed and hitting that over at 50.5. Apologies for not talking about the Cavs. You couldn't see it on the screen. I've got them at 53, sitting in the 3 seed there in the Eastern Conference. So let's go back to the West now and look at this. Yeah, the Mavs at 43.5. I don't see them quite getting there. I do have them at 42 and 40, but that's the 10th seed. For reference, the 10th seed in the East, I've got at 38 wins. So I do have the West just being very, very strong all through the middle area. The Rockets at 31.5 is an extraordinary leap. That's 10 extra wins to hit the over. And while I think we can all agree that the Rockets did get better, Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, I guess, Amen Thompson, Jock Landale's a useful backup. 2nd year Smith, 3rd year Green, 3rd year Şengün. They got better. But 22's putrid. New coach, very good. All that's important. 31.5 is very hard to get to. How do they steal those wins? Who do they take them off? It's going to require a lot to go right, and for that reason, I'll just go under. I've got them at 28, so a big push-up. Got them in the 13th seed, and they might get to 30. I just think that getting to 31.5 feels tough. The Grizzlies, their over-under is at 46.5. Now, they won 51 games last season, but they are in a little bit of strife, I think, this season. No Ja Morant for minimum 25 games, and I say minimum, no, they're not extending his suspension, but can we actually trust this bloke to not do something dumb and get another suspension? I can't. Or get injured. Steven Adams, out for the entire season. Brandon Clark, maybe all-star break that he returns. They're 3 of their best 7 players who will miss all or big chunks of the season. Getting back to 51, I think is really tough. Now, Marcus Smart's a solid replacement. Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bain can elevate their games, all of that stuff. I've got them. Look, I've only got them under by a half a game. So obviously me and FanDuel dropped the value of the prediction from what they did last season down significantly. I just happened to hit half a game under. The Pelicans were probably the hardest one for me to do. They were absolutely flying. Zion is an all-NBA, actual MVP candidate level player. And if he plays 65 games, they smash this. They destroy it, I think. But I'm not sure I can trust that. Their over-under is at 44.5, and much like the Grizzlies, I'm a half off it. I had them at 44, which is the 8th seed, but I wouldn't want to bet over or under on this because they could very easily come out, win 50 games, and be a 4 seed, 3 seed. Very easily. Doesn't take much to get there, but there's so much risk with so many players on that squad. And then the last one is the San Antonio Spurs, who won 22 games last season. And honestly, this would have been a very, very simple under. It's not so simple now because for the third team in a row, my projection comes in half a game under the line. FanDuel's got them at 28.5. I've got them at 28. And that's honestly Wembanyama. I would not be surprised if he has them at 33 wins in the play-in mix straight away, season 1. He's unbelievable. The stuff that he's doing is literally ludicrous. I cannot believe the stuff that I'm seeing. And I think he might be that good to drag a team 10 plus wins. He could be. I don't have them there. I've got him at 6 at the moment, which is half a game under. But the Grizzlies, Pels, and Spurs, I definitely wouldn't be touching in terms of betting on it. We go now to the Northwest Division. The Denver Nuggets, the reigning champs. They won 53 games last season. I've got them at 52. So that is an under the 52.5. Do I think that they're significantly worse? Significance, a strong word there. I think they're marginally worse than last season, but I also understand that after a long playoff run, it's relatively common for teams to just ease a little bit in the regular season, a little bit of fatigue early on, or some teams come out and set the NBA record for wins like the Warriors did. But that's not a common thing. So I think the Nuggets are going to be great. I still have them as the 1 seed in the West, but I just have them at half a game under. That's 4 teams in a row here that I'm half a game under the actual win projection. The Minnesota Timberwolves have an over-under set at 44.5, and guess what? I'm a half game over on this. They won 42 last season. I've got them up to 45. I've got them in the 7 spot at the moment. By the way, I had Memphis in the 6 slot, but the difference between the 3 spot and the 8 spot in my projections is 3 games. So it's ridiculously tight. I've got the Wolves going at 45, so half a game over. The Thunder, they won 40 last season. Their over-under is 44.5. I've got them at 43 for this season. That's the 9th seed. Honestly, though, if you're going to talk a team to absolutely blow through expectations, like the Grizzlies did a couple of years ago to be the 2 seed, it's the Thunder. I think they're going to be very good. I could see them winning 52. I don't think it's going to happen, and I wouldn't bet on it, and I'm not projecting it out. I'm taking 3 extra wins onto them, and it goes under that. But I'm not really confident with saying they're going to be only at that level. I think they could be very, very good. The Blazers, they won 33 last season. We know they're going to drop off. They're not a terrible team. Their starting group is okay, but their bench is putrid. Like, we're talking Jabari, well, not their bench. Their top 7 to 8 are pretty good. After that, Jabari Walker, Tumani Kamara, I said Jabari Walker already. Chris Murray, Duop Reith. Like, it's not great, that mix of bench players. So I've got them under. 27.5 is a ridiculous line to me. I've got them way under. I've got them at 22 wins, worst record in the NBA, 15th seed in the West. That is a crazy number. Because I think also Chauncey Billups, a terrible coach. The Jazz is a tough one for me because they won 37 last season. They were trying to lose games. They do have an ability to keep their pick if they do win some games this season. I'm a little worried that maybe some of the reason they were as good as they were early in the season was just Mike Conley being very solid. Yes, it was Larry Markkinen driving things right, but the downgrade from Conley to Horton Tucker or Clarkson or Sexton or George or Dunn, whoever it is that's running point, is significant. And I'm not sure that they're going to be against the Goliath bunch of teams in the West. Are they going to be competitive enough to hit that 35.5? That's basically saying they're the same as last season. I'm not really sure they're there. I've got them actually down at 32 and in the 12th spot. And maybe that's disrespectful because Will Hardy is an unbelievably good coach, and he might just, by being a good coach, keep them at 36 or 37. him and Mark. If Markkanen goes down, and you can say this for a lot of teams, but if Markkanen goes down, they won't win 24 games. He is so important to what they do. So I do have them going under at this point. And the last division, we are going to the Pacific Division. Let's go to Golden State, who last season won 44 games with that staggering road-home game split. They do add Chris Paul, so they're leaning into being older. John Kuminga looks improved. I've got him at 47, and that's 3-seed territory, but it's really close. So I do have them under the 47.5, only because I've got them at 47, another half game off. The LA Clippers, 44 wins last season with Paul George missing a chunk, Kawhi not being Kawhi for 30 games, Russell Westbrook not on the team. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Could they get James Harden? I honestly have no idea. I've got them going 2 games over, up to 46. So you're going to be shocked to see that they are a half game different to the FanDuel total, which is 45.5. I've got them going over at 46 and tied with 3 teams at 46 wins in that 4-5-6 mark. One of the other teams they are tied with there is the Lakers, who I've got winning 46 games as well. And I think the Lakers probably are a better team, but they are heavily reliant upon LeBron and Davis. And if one of those guys goes down, it's hard to get to a 50-win total. If LeBron and Davis were to play 66 games each, they would probably hit 50. I just don't think we can rely upon that. So I've got the Lakers at 46, which is a half game again. Jesus, under. So the FanDuel's got them at 46.5. We go under on that one. The Phoenix Suns, they have a line at 51.5. I've got them at 51. In the 2 seed, 1 game behind Denver. They won 45 last season, but again, that's a half game under. It just keeps happening. So I don't really like that as a bet. And then the Kings. They won 48 games last season. They were the healthiest team we've seen in really, let's say, recent memory. They've been unbelievably healthy. No starter or key rotation player played under 73 games. And if that doesn't happen, which it's unlikely to happen again, they're not going to be able to maintain that. The West got better. I think we get a better performance from the Lakers, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Suns. The Grizzlies probably got worse, but the Pelicans should be better. The Thunder should be better. Is it disrespectful? Maybe. Kings fans, you can hate me. That's fine. I've got them at 42, which pushes them into the 11th seed out of the play-in. Although I've got both them and Dallas equal at 42, so toss a coin who gets that final play-in spot. So I've got them going under a decent margin, 44.5. I don't feel particularly good about it considering how much fun they were and how exciting it was for them last season. Just not having that full confidence to push back to that number. And they still got them over 500, but not much more. So that is all of the win totals. Let's do some awards and then title prediction at the end. MVP. Jokic is plus 430 over on FanDuel. I think that it is very much acknowledged that he is the best player in the NBA by the majority. There were a minority of us who knew this and said this for 3 years, but the majority would acknowledge this now. There is also a relative majority thought process that the Joel Embiid winning over Jokic result last season, you've heard voters even express this, man, I shouldn't have done that. That will lead to, then there's so much emotions that gets attached to voting for MVP that people voted sometimes last season for Embiid because, he's been so close, he's been great, let's give it to him. So this season, if people have that thought process, they go, well, we might have dicked Jokic last season, we give him the nod. So I've got him winning it, plus 430. If I wanted to find a value pick, it's Shai. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is plus 1900. Now, is it a realistic chance to win it? I don't know. If we're just looking for value, if that Thunder team, as I said, pushes and wins 51, he'll be top 3. He was already top 5 last season. And plus 900 is value. Giannis is an okay bet as well on this. I wouldn't be looking at Embiid. Zion's the other darker horse that you can look at, the bigger price value play, because if he plays 65, the Pelicans will smash, and I think he'll get good numbers. But if I'm looking for a little bit of value, Jokic at plus 430 is not bad value, but Shai at plus 1900 is one that I would look at there. Rookie of the year, it's not really close. It's Victor Wembanyama. He's minus 145. The only way he doesn't win it is injury. And that of course, is going to be a risk. But yeah, this is the obvious pick. Don't overthink it. But again, if you want to go a different direction, hedge your bets. I would find it very hard to believe that Chet Holmgren's not the second best rookie. Yes, it could be Scoot. Chet is plus 380, but I think Chet is going to be on a good team, impacting and be awesome. Interestingly, on FanDuel, when you look at the odds for Rookie of the Year, Amen Thompson has lower odds than Asar Thompson, even though Asar is going to play more minutes and be in probably a larger role. So I guess if you're looking for a super value pick that wasn't Chet Holmgren, maybe it's Asar, because his value is very much lower, and I was a bit surprised to see how far below his brother he was. Like, if we look at the odds here, Amen Thompson's plus 5,000, Cam Whitmore is plus 5,000, Asar Thompson's plus 7,500. Cam Whitmore might play 0 minutes a night. Asar at 7,500 is a very interesting number. Very interesting. What are we going to look at next? It is Defensive Player of the Year, and no, I did not repeat the slide. I think Victor Wembanyama is a massive, massive chance. In fact, I'm picking him to win Defensive Player of the Year, and I know that's crazy as a rookie. I just think it's going to be game-breaking what he does. I've got him at plus 12. Well, not FanDuel has him as plus 1,200. So if I want to talk value picks, that's the value pick. I just think he's going to win it. I've got Anthony Davis as the other one to go with if you don't want to rely on a rookie, which I get. Davis at plus 850 has got a bit of odds. I don't think Jaren's going to get it again. I think there was a little bit of pushback against him last season with it. I could see Giannis getting it. The other one I could see is maybe rewarding a perimeter player like Jaden McDaniels. Big extension today. So more people are going to be like, why did Jaden McDaniels get paid that much? And people are going to answer, because he's an elite defender. So everyone will look at that. And is there a bias from writers and voters who then tell you that, no, that contract's actually really good because he's one of the best defenders in the NBA? Do then they feel an implied pressure to say, well, maybe I should vote him for Defensive Player of the Year? I think that's something that's worth considering in that as well. We look at the last award. I'm not going to do Most Improved or Coach of the Year or Clutch Player of the Year. Like, Coach of the Year, don't worry about it. Most Improved, how? How can I tell you that at this point? Like, it's sort of a player that comes out of nowhere. So is it Jordan Poole? Like, I guess I expect him to improve. So it's really hard to judge how voters go on that. So I'm not going to do that one. But I'm going to look at Sixth Man of the Year. I'm very interested in Josh Hart at plus 3,700. Some of the other candidates on FanDuel, by the way, for Sixth Man of the Year are guys who are going to start. So when you go to look at those odds, don't be sucked in for some of these like Sixth Man of the Year odds. I'm going to bring them up on my screen over here and have a look, because some of them are pretty crazy. Like Malcolm Brogdon's fourth favorite. I don't think he's in the mix there. Chris Paul's there. Drew Holiday's there. Okay, I don't think they're going to come off the bench enough. Derek White's there. I don't think that's going to happen. Christian Wood's like one of the top favorites. Cool. I mean, he's not going to start, but he's not good. The other guys who are listed here, like Russell Westbrook, is an option. Huh? What? Josh Green? Kobe White? DeAnthony Melton? Taylor Horton-Tucker? Sadiq Bey? Why are these guys listed? Terrence Mann? Why is Brandon Clark plus 10,000 for Sixth Man of the Year? Do bros over at FanDuel not know that he's not playing? Kyle Lowry? Bruce Brown listed for Sixth Man of the Year? Benedict Mathurin? Benedict Mathurin and Seth Curry both listed the same odds, plus 10,000. D'Angelo Russell? Ben Simmons? What? Some wild odds. Anyway, I got Josh Hart, plus 3,700. I don't think he's going to start. I think he's going to play a lot of minutes. And if the Knicks are actually very strong again, we know that he was revered for his Team USA performances. Everyone loves Josh Hart. And just some of the other options at the top of the board, I just don't love them. Man, maybe it's his teammate Emmanuel Quickley, Norman Powell, Malik Monk, Malcolm Brogdon. They're the top four guys there, but a bit of value there in Josh Hart. The other one is Al Horford, who's not even listed on this list, even though some absolutely insane names are listed here. Austin Reeves is listed at plus 16,000 for Sixth Man of the Year. Starting legend Austin Reeves. Like Maxi Kleber, Aaron Wiggins, but Al Horford's not. So if you can find any odds on Al Horford, who I think will be the Celtics' sixth man, that might be a bit of a long shot option for you to take a crack at. And that brings us into our NBA title predictions. I do have the Nuggets winning. That's plus 550. I think they can do back-to-back. Their depth did take a hit this season, but I do think that they are worth looking at. And then there's two other ones I want to look at. The finals matchup and the exact finals result. I think it's going to be Nuggets and Bucks, which is plus 900. And I think it's going to be Nuggets over Bucks, obviously, because I picked Denver, which is plus 1,600. So you can throw all of those together. Different options there. That's how I see it going. Denver over Milwaukee in the NBA Finals. Jokic MVP, Wembanyama Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. Josh Hart Sixth Man of the Year. I want to hear your predictions down in the comments below on this video. You can tweet them at me as well. And guys, that is the end of the show. Follow this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app and on YouTube. Thumb it up and leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.